everybody, and welcome to our second episode of Backyard Brimfield. My name's Cassie Weir, and I'm the park director for Brimfield Township, and I'm reporting from Lions Park on Edson Road. It's really beautiful out here right now. There's beautiful fall colors you can see behind me. And today we're going to talk about some different trees that you might find in your backyard. It's a perfect time of year for it. I'm sure you're all out there raking your yards or getting ready to rake your yards. I am too. So I have a few viewer submissions, and as always, I'm taking your submissions if you want to email them to me or give me a phone call, and I can answer some of your questions too. So thank you so much for tuning in. I couldn't do these programs without your support. So thank you for watching, and I hope you enjoy it. If you're new to tree identification, one of the easiest places to start is by learning to identify leaves. I've chosen 3 trees that you can find in our parks that are fairly easy to identify by their leaf. The first one I've chosen is the Sassafras tree, and this is a great one to start with because this tree has 3 distinct leaves. So the first leaf here is a single lobed leaf. The second leaf has 2 lobes and kind of resembles a mitten. And the third leaf has 3 lobes. Now you can find all 3 different leaves on a single tree, which makes this tree very unique and easy to identify. Now when the leaves fall off, it's a little harder to identify them. Young sassafras trees have smooth green bark, whereas older sassafras trees have dark reddish bark with really deep ridges, and if you were to peel back the bark, you would see bright red coloring. These trees can reach 50 to 60 feet tall and are 18 inches in diameter. And one of my favorite facts about the sassafras tree is if you crush up the twigs or the leaves, they actually have a very sweet scent. And traditionally they've been used, they are edible and they've been used in cooking, and Native Americans have used them for medicinal purposes. The next tree I'd like to talk to you about is the tulip poplar or yellow poplar. The leaves of the tulip poplar have a V-shaped notch at the tip and 4 paired symmetrical lobes. The top of the leaf is shiny and smooth, and the underside is more dull and rough. The size of the leaves can vary quite a bit depending on the size and age of the tree. This was a very small tulip poplar leaf that I found from a very young tree. And I also found a very large leaf from an older, more mature tree. Tulip poplar trees can grow very quickly and reach an average of 100 feet tall and about 5 feet in diameter. Tulip poplar trees are pretty easy to identify by their trunks as well. Their trunks are very straight and have relatively little branches until you reach the top of the tree. Which is useful for identification because if you can't see the leaves from the ground, you'll need to be able to recognize the trunk. This is an up-close shot of the bark of the tree. It is deeply furrowed like the sassafras bark. It's more of a grayish brown color, and it has narrow, tight ridges that are rounded on the ends. And this tree gets its name for the tulip-like flowers that it produces in the late spring. However, this tree is actually a member of the magnolia family. The last tree I wanted to talk to you about is the American beech tree. This tree is easily identified by its smooth gray bark and its uniquely shaped leaves. So the leaves are elliptically shaped and range in size from 2 to 6 inches long and about 2 inches wide, and they have rough, saw-toothed edges. These leaves turn yellow or brown in the fall, and they oftentimes remain attached to the tree throughout the winter. This is an up-close shot of the bark of the American beech tree. And they can range in size from 80 to 120 feet tall, and in diameter they can range from 18 to 50 inches. Given the proper habitat, they prefer wet soils with full sun. They can live 300 to 400 years. Unfortunately, the smooth gray bark of this tree often attracts people that would like to carve their names into these trees, and carving creates an entryway for parasitic fungi other tree pathogens and harmful insects to enter the tree. So we ask that you please don't do this. American beech trees are fairly slow growing. They grow at a rate of about 12 to 24 inches per year. So finding a large American beech tree is pretty exciting because you can tell that this tree must be fairly old by its size. This is one that you can find on the Lions Park Trail, and it's one of my favorite trees in the park, and it's a great wayfinding tree. When you see it, you know that you are right at the end of our trail. Now it's time for the viewer submissions portion of our episode. Both of today's submissions come to us from Brimfield resident and trustee Nick Koya. Thank you, Nick. So Nick was walking around in his neighborhood and he noticed 2 snakes on the sidewalk, and he asked me what types of snakes they were and what they were doing out in the fall. He's not used to seeing them out this time of year. So we'll start with identification. The first snake is a brown snake or a decay snake. They are a small snake. They generally don't get longer than 12 inches, and they range in color from a tan to a reddish brown, hence their name. They have a light center stripe going down their back, and the stripe is bordered by small black spots, as you can see in this photo. And their diet consists of slugs, snails, earthworms, and grubs, which is great if you want to eliminate these pests from your yard. The next snake is an eastern garter snake. They are 18 to 26 inches long, and they can be green, brown, or black in color with a yellow or white stripe going down their back. They live in a variety of habitats, and it's not uncommon to see them in your yard or in a wooded setting or near water. They feed mostly on fish, amphibians, and earthworms, but will occasionally take other prey. Garter snakes get their name from their resemblance to men's striped sock garters that were popular during the late 1800s and early 1900s. This is a photo of 2 eastern garter snakes that I took at Lions Park in April of this year. And this was when these eastern garter snakes had emerged from brumation, which brings us to our word of the day, which is brumation. Go ahead and say that to yourself, brumation. So brumation refers to a period of inactivity or sluggishness experienced by some reptiles during winter or extended periods of cold temperatures. And you may be thinking this sounds like hibernation, and you're correct. Sometimes the words are used interchangeably, but hibernation refers to the overwintering by warm-blooded mammals like this groundhog, whereas brumation refers to the overwintering by cold-blooded reptiles like this eastern box turtle. Both brown snakes and eastern garter snakes brumate, and they brumate in dens under logs, in tree stumps, under rock piles, or other secluded locations. These brumation dens can contain dozens to hundreds of snakes of multiple species, and sometimes brown snakes and eastern garter snakes will brumate together. I guess you can say that they're roommates that brumate. Thank you so much for tuning in to our second episode of Backyard Brimfield. I hope you learned a little bit and you will go out in your backyard or in the parks and identify some trees, and you can always submit your nature findings to me by either calling or emailing me. And we're going to take a little break from Backyard Brimfield in November to focus on some other projects, but we will be back on Saturday, December 19th, so make sure you tune in. Thank you so much and have a great rest of your weekend.